Chapter 8 of the Maltese Falcon by Dashiell Hammett. This Librivox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 8 Horse Feathers. Bridget O'Shaughnessy was huddled in the armchair by the table. Her forearms were up over her cheeks, her knees drawn up until they hid the lower part of her face. Her eyes were white-circled and terrified. Joel Cairo stood in front of her, bending over her, holding in one hand the pistol Spade had taken from him. His other hand was clapped to his forehead. Blood ran through its fingers and down under them to his eyes. A smaller trickle from his cut lip made 3 wavy red lines across his chin. Cairo did not heed the detectives. He was glaring at the girl huddled before him. His lips were working spasmodically, but no coherent sound came from between them. Dundee, the first of the 3 into the room, moved swiftly to Cairo's side, put a hand on his own hip under his overcoat, a hand on the Levantine's wrist, and growled, "What are you up to here?" Cairo took the red-smeared hand from his forehead and waved it close to the lieutenant's face. Uncovered by the hand, his forehead showed a 3-inch ragged tear. "This is what she did," he cried. "Look at it!" The girl put her feet down on the floor and looked warily from Dundee, holding Cairo's wrist, to Tom Polhouse, standing a little behind them, to Spade, leaning against the door frame. Spade's face was placid. When his gaze met hers, his yellow-gray eyes glinted for an instant with malicious humor, and then became expressionless again. "Did you do that?" Dundee asked the girl, nodding at Cairo's cut head. She looked at Spade again. He did not in any way respond to the appeal in her eyes. He leaned against the doorframe and observed the occupants of the room with the polite air of an invited spectator. The girl turned her eyes up to Dundee's. Her eyes were wide and dark and earnest. "I had to," she said in a low, throaty, almost sobbing voice. "I was all alone in here with him when he attacked me. I couldn't. I tried to keep him off. I couldn't make myself shoot him." "Oh, you liar!" Cairo cried, trying unsuccessfully to pull the arm that held the pistol out of Dundee's grip. "Oh, you dirty, filthy liar!" He squirmed around to face Dundee. "She's lying awfully. I came here in good faith and was attacked by both of them, and when you came he went out to talk to you, leaving her here with this pistol. And then she said they were going to kill me after you left, and I called for help so you wouldn't leave me here to be murdered, and then she struck me with the pistol." "Here, give me this thing," Dundee said, and took the pistol from Cairo's hand. "Now, let's get this straight. What did you come here for?" "He sent for me." Cairo twisted his head around to stare defiantly at Spade. "He called me up on the phone and asked me to come here." Spade blinked sleepily at the Levantine and said nothing. Dundee asked, "What did he want you for?" Cairo withheld his reply until he had mopped his bloody forehead and chin with a lavender-barred silk handkerchief. By then some of the indignation in his manner had been replaced by caution. "He said they wanted to see me. I didn't know what about." Tom lowered his head, sniffed the odor of the chypre that the mopping handkerchief had released into the air, and then turned his head to scowl interrogatively at Spade. Spade winked an eye at him and went on rolling a cigarette. Dundee asked, "Well, what happened then?" "Then they attacked me. She struck me first, and then he choked me and took the pistol out of my pocket. I don't know what they would have done next if you hadn't arrived at that moment. I dare say they would have murdered me then and there. When he went out to answer the bell, he left her here with the pistol to watch over me." Bridget O'Shaughnessy jumped out of the armchair, crying, "Why don't you tell the truth?" and slapped Cairo on the cheek. Cairo yelled inarticulately. Dundee pushed the girl back into the chair with the hand that was not holding the Levantine's arm and growled, "None of that now." Spade, lighting his cigarette, grinned softly through smoke and told Tom, "She's impulsive." "Yeah," Tom agreed. Dundee scowled down at the girl and asked, "What do you want us to think the truth is?" "Not what he said," she replied. "Not anything he said." She turned to Spade. "Is it?" "How do I know? Spade said. "I was out in the kitchen mixing an omelet when it all happened, wasn't I?" She wrinkled her forehead, studying him with eyes that perplexity clouded. Tom grunted in disgust. Dundee, still scowling down at the girl, ignored Spade's speech and asked her, "If he's not telling the truth, how come he did the squawking for help and not you?" "Oh, he was scared to death when I struck him," she replied, looking contemptuously at the Levantine. Cairo's face flushed where it was not blood-smeared. He exclaimed, "Phoo! Another lie!" She kicked his leg, the high heel of her blue slipper striking him just below the knee. Dundee pulled him away from her while Big Tom came to stand close to her, rumbling, "Behave, sister. That's no way to act." "Then make him tell the truth," she said. "We'll do that all right," he promised. "Just don't get rough." Dundee, looking at Spade with green eyes hard and bright with satisfaction, addressed his subordinate. "Well, Tom, I guess we'll take them in." Tom nodded gloomily. Spade left the door and advanced to the center of the room, dropping his cigarette into a tray on the table as he passed it. His smile and manner were amiable and easy. "Don't be in a hurry," he said. "Everything can be explained." "I bet you," Dundee agreed, sneering. Spade bowed to the girl. "Miss O'Shaughnessy," he said, "may I present Lieutenant Dundee and Detective Sergeant Polhouse." He bowed to Dundee. "Miss O'Shaughnessy is an operative in my employ." Joel Cairo said indignantly, "That isn't so. She—" Spade interrupted him in a quite loud but still genial voice. "I hired her just recently, yesterday. This is Mr. Joel Cairo, a friend, anyhow an acquaintance of Thursby's. He came to me this afternoon and tried to hire me to find something Thursby was supposed to have on him when he was bumped off. It looked queer, the way he put it to me, so I wouldn't touch it. Then he pulled a gun. Well, never mind that, unless it comes to a point of laying charges against each other. Anyway, after talking it over with Miss O'Shaughnessy, I thought maybe I could get something out of him about Miles's and Thursby's killings, so I asked him to come up here. Maybe we put the questions to him a little rough, but he wasn't hurt any, not enough to have to cry for help. I'd already had to take his gun away from him again." As Spade talked, anxiety came into Cairo's reddened face. His eyes moved jerkily up and down, shifting their focus uneasily between the floor and Spade's bland face. Dundee confronted Cairo and demanded brusquely, "Well, what have you got to say to that?" Cairo had nothing to say for nearly a minute while he stared at the lieutenant's chest. When he lifted his eyes, they were shy and wary. "I do not know what I should say," he murmured. His embarrassment seemed genuine. "Try telling the facts," Dundee suggested. "The facts?" Cairo's eyes fidgeted, though their gaze did not actually evade the lieutenant's. "What assurance have I that the facts will be believed?" "Quit stalling. All you've got to do is swear to a complaint that they took a poke at you, and the warrant clerk will believe you enough to issue a warrant that'll let us throw them in the can." Spade spoke in an amused tone. "Go ahead, Cairo. Make him happy. Tell him you'll do it, and then we'll swear to one against you, and he'll have the lot of us." Cairo cleared his throat and looked nervously around the room, not into the eyes of anyone there. Dundee blew breath through his nose in a puff that was not quite a snort and said, "Get your hats." Cairo's eyes, holding worry and a question, met Spade's mocking gaze. Spade winked at him and sat on the arm of the padded rocker. "Well, boys and girls," he said, grinning at the Levantine and at the girl with nothing but delight in his voice and in his grin, "we put it over nicely." Dundee's hard square face darkened the least of shades. He repeated peremptorily, "Get your hats." Spade turned his grin on the lieutenant, squirmed into a more comfortable position on the chair arm, and asked lazily, "Don't you know when you're being kidded?" Tom Polhouse's face grew red and shiny. Dundee's face, still darkening, was immobile, except for his lips moving stiffly to say, "No, but we'll let that wait till we get down to the hall." Spade rose and put his hands in his pockets. He stood erect so that he might look that much farther down at the lieutenant. His grin was a taunt, and self-certainty spoke in every line of his carriage. "I dare you to take us in, Dundee," he said. "We'll laugh at you in every newspaper in San Francisco. You don't think any of us is going to swear to any complaints against the others, do you? Wake up. You've been kidded. When the bell rang, I said to Miss O'Shaughnessy in Cairo, 'It's those damned bulls again. They're getting to be nuisances. Let's play a joke on them. When you hear them going, one of you scream, and then we'll see how far we can string them along before they tumble.' And—" Bridget O'Shaughnessy bent forward in her chair and began to laugh hysterically. Cairo started and smiled. There was no vitality in his smile, but he held it fixed on his face. Tom, glowering, grumbled, "Cut it out, Sam." Spade chuckled and said, "But that's the way it was. We—" "And the cut on his head and mouth?" Dundee asked imperturbably. "Where'd they come from?" "Ask him," Spade suggested. "Maybe he cut himself shaving." Cairo spoke quickly before he could be questioned, and the muscles of his face quivered under the strain of holding his smile in place while he spoke. "I fell. We intended to be struggling for the pistol when you came in, but I fell. I tripped on the end of the rug and fell while we were pretending to struggle." Dundee said, "Horse feathers." Spade said, "That's all right, Dundee, believe it or not. The point is that that's our story and we'll stick to it. The newspapers will print it whether they believe it or not, and it'll be just as funny one way as the other. What are you going to do about it? It's no crime to kid a copper, is it? You haven't got anything on anybody here. Everything we've told you was part of the joke. What are you going to do about it?" Dundee put his back to Spade and gripped Cairo by the shoulders. "You can't get away with that," he snarled, shaking the Levantine. "You squawked for help, and you've got to take it." "No, sir," Cairo spluttered. "It was a joke. He said you were friends of his and would understand." Spade laughed. Dundee pulled Cairo roughly to him, holding him now by the nape of the neck and one wrist. "I'll take you along for packing the gun, anyway," he said, "and I'll take the rest of you along to see who laughs at the joke." Cairo's alarmed eyes jerked sidewise to focus on Spade's face. Spade said, "Don't be a damned fool, Dundee. The gun was part of the plant. It's one of mine. I've got all the licenses you want." Dundee released Cairo, spun on his heel, and his right fist clicked on Spade's chin. Bridget O'Shaughnessy uttered a short cry. Spade's smile flickered out at the instant of the impact, but returned immediately, with a dreamy quality added. He steadied himself with a short backward step, and his thick sloping shoulders writhed under his coat. Before his fist could come up, Tom Polhouse had pushed himself in between the two men, facing Spade, encumbering Spade's arms with the closeness of his barrel-bellied body and his own arms. "No, no, for sake," Tom begged. After a long moment of motionlessness, Spade's muscles relaxed. "Then get him out of here quick," he said. His smile had gone away, leaving his face sullen and somewhat pale. Tom, remaining close to Spade, keeping his arms on Spade's arms, turned his head to look over his shoulder at Lieutenant Dundee. Tom's small eyes were reproachful. Dundee's fist was still clenched in front of his body, and his feet were planted firm and a little apart on the floor, but the truculence in his face was modified by the thin rims of white showing between green irises and upper eyelids. "Get their names and addresses," he ordered, "so we can get hold of them when we want them." Tom looked at Cairo, who said quickly, "Joel Cairo, Hotel Belvedere." Spade spoke before Tom could question the girl. "You can always get in touch with Miss O'Shaughnessy through me." Tom looked at Dundee, who growled, "Get her address." Spade said, "Her address is in care of my office." Dundee moved forward, halting in front of the girl. "Where do you live?" he asked. Spade addressed Tom. "Get him out of here. I've had enough of this." Tom looked at Spade's eyes that were hard and glittering, and mumbled, "Take it easy, Sam." He buttoned up his coat and turned to Dundee, asking in a voice that aped casualness, "Well, is that all?" and taking a step toward the door. Dundee's scowl failed to conceal indecision. Cairo suddenly moved toward the door, saying, "I'm going too, if Mr. Spade will give me my coat and hat." Spade asked, "What's the hurry?" Dundee said angrily, "It was all in fun, but just the same, you're afraid to be left here with them." "Not at all," the Levantine replied, fidgeting, looking at neither of them. "But it's quite late, and I'm going. I'll go out with you if you don't mind." Dundee put his lips together firmly, but said nothing, though a light was glinting in his green eyes. Spade went to the closet in the passageway and fetched Cairo's coat and hat. Spade's face was blank. His voice held the same blankness when he stepped back from helping the Levantine into his coat and said to Tom, "Tell him to leave that gun of mine that he took from Cairo." Dundee took Cairo's pistol from his pocket and put it on the table. He went out first, with Cairo at his heels. Tom halted in front of Spade, muttering, "I hope to God you know what you're doing." Got no response, sighed, and followed the others out. Spade went after them as far as the bend in the passageway, where he stood until Tom had closed the corridor door. End of Chapter 8.